1984, a year of incredible moments that forever changed the pop culture landscape. And although the iconic music and movies took center stage that year, a lesser-known film still managed to grab the nation's attention. Mary Ellen Mark, a well-known photographer from Philadelphia and director of one of the most powerful documentaries to come out that year, chronicling the lives of homeless street kids living in Seattle for the documentary entitled Streetwise. Filmed in the spring and summer of 1983, Streetwise exposes the gritty and sometimes unflattering truths about Seattle street culture and the realities of growing up within it. It was even nominated for an Oscar, but what most people will remember is the indelible mark left by its young participants. We're taking a closer look at 6 of the sociological themes within the movie Streetwise. Over 500,000 people are homeless in the United States on a given night. According to StandUpForKids.org, 39% of that number are children under the age of 18. Street kids, as they're called, children between the ages of 11 and 17, forced to fend for themselves on the streets and struggling to survive. Every day, an estimated 13 children living on the streets will die from abuse, disease, or suicide. Approximately 5,000 children a year. 46% of youth left their home because of physical abuse, 17% because of sexual abuse. An estimated 100,000 children are sold into sex trade within the U.S. every year. When explaining why she chose Seattle as a location, Mark said, "One of the reasons we chose Seattle was because it is known as America's most livable city. Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York were well known for their street kids. By choosing America's ideal city, we were making the point. If street kids exist in a city like Seattle, then they can be found everywhere in America. And we're therefore facing a major social problem of runaways in this country." The film Streetwise offers an example of conflict theory with its heavy depiction of deviance. Not unlike teenagers today, the street kids have a unique propensity for deviant behavior which includes fights, drug abuse, stealing, and prostitution. However, from a functionalist perspective, we see that the kids in our film rely on deviant methods in order to survive.
There's many different scams. There's eat and run. That's where you go into a restaurant, you order something. Usually they'll set you right by the cash register if you look young and like you don't have no money so they can see you. But right by the cash register is right by the door, so that works out even better. There's also dumpster diving, called Shakey's Pizza, You can do it right out in front of the restaurant at a payphone, they got a payphone out front. And then about an hour, nobody comes to claim the pizzas, and they set them out in the dumpster in the boxes, and you go over there. You got 6 or 7 free pizzas. It's easy to...
Streetwise focuses on 14-year-old Tiny, a teenage prostitute. Like many other street kids in the film, Tiny was a runaway who was lured into prostitution as an easy way to make money. Sexual predators and sex dates, or tricks, would frequent the area where Tiny and her friends hung out, looking for the underage girls. This, however, made the occurrence of rape more likely for her and other girls, who reported being raped as many as 8 times. Evidence of rape culture is identified in our film, as rape is dismissed as merely an inconvenient cost of doing business, or just a harsh reality of the streets.
Look, I'll tell you the truth, okay? This is the honest truth. With me, you'll be safer, happier, and richer.
Hey, come here! Hey! Michelle! Girlfriend!
He raped me last year when I first came downtown.
He raped you? He raped me too. He took my money too. Up in the Donald Hotel. Came up there, told me he was gonna rob some dude. Oh man. And
he took a fucking fucking coat hanger, heated up on the gas heater, and said he was gonna beat me if I didn't take off my clothes. And I said, I ain't taking off my clothes.
We're scaring her.
We don't mean to scare you, we're just telling you the truth.
A very unique adolescent subculture governs the lives of the youth in Streetwise. Notably, since some of the major institutions that typically form adolescent subcultures, religion, family structure, and schools are not present for the youth in the documentary. Without the influence of these institutions, the street youth rely upon their peers as primary socialization groups. As a result, just as in fringe cultures today, the street youth develop an unconventional set of norms and values that contrast the dominant culture. They are specific to their level of education, life, and culture on the street. These values include a type of culture capital. The term streetwise encapsulates this theory, used to define someone knowledgeable at how to successfully negotiate the streets. Similar to subcultures in the U.S. in which the environmental setting is restrictive, such as prison culture, the nature of the environment dictates the social norms of which these street youth must adapt. Throughout the film, we observe that social learning theory has an important effect on the teenager's behavior through symbolic interactionism. As previously stated, the street youth adapt their social behavior, including survival techniques, from their primary socialization groups, their peers. Through this daily face-to-face interaction, the youth acquire a sense of belonging, safety in numbers, and pertinent information which helps them to survive the unforgiving streets of Seattle. Particularly as runaways, these kids are under immense pressure to make a way of life away from home possible rather than return to unstable and many times abusive circumstances.
I just started doing this stuff. I never even thought of hoeing before I got down here, and then I heard, Tracy, she used to live with me when she was a homegirl. So, she used to live with me because her parents kicked her out. She used to live with me, and then she disappeared. She went downtown with Lorna, Lorna. Mm-hmm. And Lorna came back up and said that, Tracy's a hoe now. So then I got really worried about it. I go, I got to get her. I can't let her do that stuff. But I always heard bad things about, white slavery, that she's going to get beat up and everything. That's what scared me. So I thought, I got to come down here and get her out of here, whether I got to kidnap her or what. I come down here, I see her, she goes, oh yeah, it's great, man. So I'm just sitting there going, what? I heard that you don't like it down here, that you're getting beat up and raped and everything. So I'm making so much money, and it's so easy, the money comes so easy and everything. She goes, it's great, you got to do it. And then I sat there and I go, how much money do you make? And she started naming off, and I just thought, wow, I think I bet.
Strain theory is a common theme identified throughout the film. The friction of home life and societal pressures on the youth hinders their ability to achieve success by following traditional societal norms. This strain or stress of home or just trying to survive from one day to the next, causes the homeless youth to resort to deviant means in order to satisfy basic needs such as food and shelter. The consuming task of basic survival, as opposed to education or employment, effectively exclude homeless youth from the so-called American dream. We see this in other areas of our society where education and employment opportunities are poor, and thus people turn to selling drugs, stealing, or perhaps even prostitution just to be able to meet their basic need.
My mom's got 7 kids. She's 32.
Well, I can't have you living out in the street.
So I can't have me living here.
I'm trying to get some input from you, Shelley, besides anything but sarcasm.
That's all I get around here. That's all I ever hear from Larry.
It's his way of dealing with people.
Right. He makes me sick. From when I was little and he was a pervert and shit. When every time I remembered that, every time I remember what he did to me, what he took advantage of me and shit.
I didn't know.
When I didn't know what he was doing, I didn't know it until you started asking me.
But you wouldn't tell me then.
I told you that he did. When you asked me if he did a certain thing, I said yeah. And then when he went and told him, ever since then he's hated me.
Yeah, but he didn't do it anymore.
So I still hate him for doing it to begin with.
Streetwise provides an honest look into some of the factors that contribute to social class reproduction. All of the homeless youth featured in the film either had working class parents, parents who had limited education, or parents who were incarcerated. With no permanent address, homeless youth are unlikely to be able to enroll in school. This lack of access to education makes it highly unlikely that the youth would surpass the socio-economic status of their parents. High-risk behaviors such as drug abuse, violent criminal acts, and prostitution further hinder the youth's ability to break the cycle of poverty for themselves and their children. Tiny, for example, became highly sought after by Hollywood to do other films as a result of her appearance in the documentary. Unfortunately, as smart as Tiny was, she was illiterate and couldn't read a script. She had only completed the 5th grade. Consequently, she was unable to advance her budding career. Tiny would end up back on the streets and subsequently gave birth to 10 children.
Yeah, how much are you smoking?
I'm cutting down to maybe 4 cigarettes a day, 4 or 5.
Well, that's good. No, don't smoke too much, because that's bad too.
All right, hold on.
You're a smart kid. You're a good-looking kid. You've got intelligence. You've got my brain. But you're like me. You're a con man, Dwayne. What do you want to be, a little punk on the street? Huh? Hey, you want to be a little punk, a little smart-ass little punk. That's all you think you are. You're going to wind up just like I am. Look at me when I talk at you. I'm serious. I love you very, very much, even though I get mad at you and want to kill you. I love you. You're all I've got. And unfortunately, I've all you've got. I'm going to make it up to you. Hey? For all the stuff that we didn't do. You know? Hey? I know I have to talk rough to you sometimes, Dwayne, but you know that I love you. Whole big bunch. I get out this time. If I get out, I'll keep you straight and you keep me straight. Is that a deal? Huh? Mm-hmm. Just remember, you and I is all we've got. And together, hey, there ain't nobody can whip us. Ain't nobody can do anything to us. I love you.
Bye-bye.